It is for us, the living. It is for us, the living.
But it's the plight of individual boys and girls which worries me most. Too often, our children don't get the education they need, the education they deserve.
Anti-gay, Donald Trump, go away! Racist, sexist, anti-gay, Donald Trump!
Children who need to be taught to respect traditional moral values are being taught that they have an inalienable right to be gay. All of those children are being cheated of a sound start in life. Yes, cheated.
It is for us. It is for us, the living.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mountain fixed upon it, mount of God's redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the throne of God. He to rescue me from danger bought me with his precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above.
the living. It is for us, the living.
Left earlier, she was marching up and down the flag and pulling it out, showing it to the Trump protesters.
Please don't do that. It's super offensive to the people that are trying to peacefully protest. They have the right to do it, but it's going to be on the internet and it's so disrespectful.
And it goes both ways.
Shall not have died in vain. It is for us, the living.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
It is for us, the living.
Recently, we had a flare-up in Georgia because some protesters were trampling on the flag. They were, right? They were very upset about what's going on and what the United States is doing, so they decided to walk all over the flag. Now, I don't like this kind of protest. Never liked it, but it's a free country. They can do anything they like, and so there they are walking on the flag. Well, someone else didn't like the protest, and so on that whole freedom thing. Her name is Michelle Manhart. She's actually a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, and she got livid over this. Now, her past with the American flag is awesome. Wait till you see that. But before we get to that, let me show you how upset she got about this protest. She grabbed their flag, and this is what happened next.
That's not true. Actually, it is. Actually, it is. Anytime it's been torn or ripped, it needs to be properly disposed of. So we're going to take care of that. This belongs to actually the entire United States. It's not yours. This is not your flag. Okay. Hold on. Don't put your phone in. Michelle.
She's committing a crime. Officer, she's committing a crime. You in violation.
No, it's not how it works. It's okay though. You don't know.
Okay, everybody back up.
Now, she's clearly in the wrong, and that's why the officers decided she's got to give the flag back. It's their flag. She goes, no, it belongs to the entirety of the United States. But first of all, that makes no sense. That's not how property works. That would actually be a communist position, just to be clear. And second of all, you don't represent the entire United States. No, it's their property. You have to.
Because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job.
Like, I understand why you're mad, right? But okay, you made your point, now you got to give their property back, and that's what the cops think. And she's simply not going to do it. So then this bit of fun madness ensues.
You had a
Let it go.
Grab it.
Let it go.
Stop. Do you see her hand on there? Do you see her hand on there?
All of you are
I'll let you go. Why are you not touching her? Why are you not touching her?
Down.
No. Let go of
Michelle.
Let go of her. DJ. No. I would
I'm sorry, what'd you say? We give you a lawful command to let go of this flag, ma'am. It doesn't belong to you.
It doesn't know why this lady's really doing this right now.
Ma'am.
She's resisting arrest. She's resisting a police officer. She's resisting arrest.
She ain't gonna get shot down. Y'all back there?
You guys couldn't just stand up with the flag?
So the power just went out at the fair, and it's completely dead. Well, this section, anyways.
You guys couldn't just stand up with the flag?
We are listening today
just all we heard was a pop and then a near. The movies get it right.
Everybody's stuck up.
Oh.
It's like one of those like the zombie games.
Oh.
I think a generator died.
I think so, because that generator just started.
Yeah, because that generator just started to puff of smoke.
Oh, now it's on.
Ferris wheel's on.
Yay! Ferris wheel's on. Oh, yay! Ferris back alive.
Yay! Funny little piece of shit.
Yeah.
No. Did you hear yourself? I'm not going to give it to them. You got that on camera, right?
Yeah, you're famous. They got it on camera. Don't worry. I like the guy in the background now. She ain't gonna get shot, is she? I mean, what an interesting exhibition of privilege there, right? She's like, you're putting your hands on me. Yeah, that's what happens when you get arrested, right? They got to put their hands on you, right? She's like,
I'll not have died in vain. It is for us, the living.
Our streets! 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 Our streets!
Others. For all. For all. Which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine.
The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
is a God, and that he hates injustice and slavery. I see the storm coming. I know his hand is in it. If he has a place, work for me. And I think he has. I believe I'm ready. I am nothing. But truth is everything. And with God's help, I shall not fail.
That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Looking like it's going to be an excellent week weather-wise for this big homestand. Dodgers and Cardinals, and the lights are going out, and they've all gone out. A power outage here at Wrigley Field as DeWitt.
We, at the beginning of our time of fellowship together, should go to the Lord and invoke his blessing, also his wisdom, his patience and understanding. So if you will help me in welcoming Reverend Mark Creech to the microphone, let the revival begin. Mark Creech. Let's pray together. Our gracious God, just as our state's Constitution says in its preamble, we are grateful to you, the sovereign ruler of nations, for the preservation of the American Union and the existence of our civil, political, and religious liberties. We acknowledge our dependence upon you for the continuance of these blessings to us and our posterity. At this juncture, during this election cycle, we are at a great tipping point. The differences between the candidates from the top of the ballot and all the way down the ballot couldn't be more striking. We will choose between those who represent different answers to questions of fundamental moral and political import. We will become a nation that moves closer to recognizing and enforcing respect for the sanctity of human life at every stage, or we will move further away from it. We will protect and preserve the First and Second Amendments, or we will possibly render them null and void by the misguided notions of political correctness. We will be a nation of borders, or we will undermine our own sovereignty by failing to deal effectively with the issue of illegal immigration. Justices will be appointed to our courts that interpret our Constitution according to the fixed meaning given to it by our founders, or we will have justices that impose whatever the legal profession deems or cultural elites decree for us. We will uphold the eternal verity that the rights of the individual are unalienable, meaning given to us by God, which no government has the right to infringe upon, or the erroneous view that the state gives us our rights will become more and more pervasive. We will remain a people of common sense, or we will support policies like men in women's restrooms, locker rooms, and showers. Lord, may we not fail to recognize the urgency of our choices at this moment in history. What will be decided on November the 8th could not only set the course for the rest of our lives, but also that of our children and grandchildren for many years to come. It may even decide whether we can keep the republic handed down to us by our forefathers and defended in blood. Here in this place today, we rally in support of those who are not without their flaws, but we trust our patriots. We pray that they will be candidates who are just as concerned with finding favor with you as they are about finding favor with the electorate. We pray that they would walk in truth, that your power might rest upon them. And if they indeed do walk upright before you, We ask that your providence would exalt them to positions whereby your blessings may flow through them to our land. Grant us now your presence. Bless these proceedings, if you would be so gracious, and use them to preserve our union, to strengthen and save our great state and country. Use them that we might truly be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In Christ's name, amen.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
In this Hall of Presidents, we look upon a mirror of ourselves, the leaders we have chosen to safeguard our rights and our ideas, to imagine the future and to embrace its challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, the Presidents of the United States. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, Miller Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, James A. Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William H. Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warren G. Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard M. Nixon, Gerald R. Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, and the current President of the United States, George W. Bush.
When we look back on the history of this country, we see a record of almost unbelievable energy, sacrifice, hard work, of impossible dreams that our ancestors dreamed and made real. We see injustice, too, that weighs on our hearts even today. But for every injustice, there has always been a voice crying out to right it, and America has always listened to those voices. We are listening today. And perhaps it falls to us, to this first generation of the 21st century Americans, to say once and for all that no child, no race, no creed, no ethnic community will ever again be left out of the American dream. Through education, through the opportunity to work, and to enjoy the fruits of that work, we can open every closed door, expand the horizons of all Americans. Again and again, we return to the same simple principles: freedom, equality, the freedom to create, to prosper, to dream, equality before the law, in the workplace, in the chance for a better life. And each time, in the process, America grows stronger. The beacon of democracy grows brighter. The world looks in new astonishment at what free people can do. We, the people, are just getting started.
If the experience of these extraordinary men adds up to any one thing, it is this: to be true to the American dream, one must have the wisdom to remember and the courage to change. In honoring these men, protectors of our heritage, servants of our dream, guides to the future we face together, we honor the enduring meaning of America. We the people, hear in their voices the voice of our own hearts. President Abraham Lincoln.
Definition of the word liberty. And the American people just now are much in want of one. We all declare for liberty, but in using the same word, we do not all mean the same thing. What constitutes the bulwark of our liberty and independence? It is not our frowning battlements, our bristling sea coasts. These are not our reliance against tyranny. Our reliance is in the love of liberty, which God has planted in our bosom. In the preservation of the spirit which prizes liberty as the heritage of all men, in all lands, everywhere. Destroy this spirit, and you have planted the seeds of despotism around your own door. At what point shall we expect the approach of danger? By what means shall we fortify against it? shall we expect? Transatlantic military giant to step the ocean and crush us at a blow? All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa combined could not by force take a drink from the Ohio or make a track on the Blue Ridge in a trial of 1,000 years. At what point, then, is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer that if it ever reaches us, it must spring from amongst us.
This is a Donald Trump butt plug.
The seeds of despotism around your own door come from abroad. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. Let reverence for the law be breathed by every American mother to the lisping babe that prattles on her lap. Let it be taught in the schools, in the seminaries, and in the colleges. Let it be written in primers, in spelling books and almanacs. And in short, let it become the political religion of the nation. And let the old and the young, the rich and the poor, the grave and the gay, of all sexes and tongues and colors and conditions, sacrifice unceasingly at its altar. And let us strive to deserve, as far as mortals may, the continued care of divine providence, trusting that in future national emergencies, he will not fail to provide us the instruments of safety and security. Let us have faith that right makes right, and in that faith, let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it.
It is for us, the living.
Tragedy struck the family of Jennifer Hudson in October 2008 when her mother and brother were murdered, whereupon the Oscar-winning actress returned home to Chicago and took a room at the Trump International Hotel Tower. Donald Trump offered up a hotel suite to Hudson and her family and picked up their tab for their stay. In 1991, during Operation Desert Storm, 200 Marines were stranded after their flights back to America were canceled due to logistical errors. Thousands of miles from home, they were stranded and helpless. That's when Donald Trump came to the rescue. Trump flew them all home at no cost. 10-year-old Megan was born with brittle bone disease and was unable to walk when she appeared on the Maury Povich show with her mother. During the show, Donald Trump called in to speak to her and gave Maury a large check to give her to help with her medical expenses.
To have a very special check. And when we talk about Donald Trump, when he gives out checks, we're not talking chump change here. This is big-time money. So, look at that. You know how much that's for? You get all those zeros right?
In 1991, Donald Trump got out of his limo to stop a man who was savagely beating another man with a baseball bat. Eyewitnesses confirmed the account. Trump apparently did not talk publicly about this until contacted by a local news team. Witnesses said Trump, with Marla Maples tugging at his arm to try to stop him, leapt from his black stretch limousine during the Manhattan assault. All of a sudden, a big long limousine pulls up on an angle, and Donald Trump pops out with a blonde, the witness said. There was a guy with a bat hitting a guy over the head, and Trump yelled, "Put that bat down." "What are you doing?" The guy dropped the bat, came over and started talking to him. Trump said. The guy with the bat looked at me, and I said, "Look, you've got to stop this. Put down the bat." I guess he recognized me because he said, "Mr. Trump, I didn't do anything wrong." I said, "How could you not do anything wrong when you're whacking a guy with a bat?" Then he ran away. Trump only left the scene after he saw a man who appeared to be a doctor treating the victim and heard that an ambulance was on its way. Darnell Barton, 37, was driving the Buffalo Metro bus October 18 when he noticed a woman had climbed the guardrail on the overpass above the Scahaquata Expressway. He stopped the bus, which was filled with high school students, approached the woman, and asked her if she needed help. "That's when I went and put my arms around her," Barton later told the Associated Press. "I felt like, if she looked down at that traffic one more time, it might be it." The woman allowed Barton to lift her back over the guardrail, and a corrections officer who was driving behind the bus waited with her until authorities arrived. When Donald Trump heard about this, he decided to send the man $10,000 for his good deed, writing on Twitter.
"The bus driver who saved the woman from jumping off the bridge was really cool, great guy. I'm going to send him $10,000, he deserves it."
It is for us, the living.
Trump, you're being faulted for a tone allegedly encouraging violence. You are, in the views of many of your fellow Republicans, making things worse, inciting, encouraging violence.
This shit happens at every rally he has. His rallies are violent. You know they violent. It's everywhere.
Before I left, my lovely 20-foot flagpole was flying proudly in the air with the American flag and my big Trump flag. Police told me it looked like somebody had cut it with a metal saw. That was upsetting to me, because I really thought that we lived in a country that we had freedom of speech.
Families say they were targeted for their political views. Their street was spray painted with all sorts of foul language.
She woke up to the word Nazi and KKK, slandering Trump and his following.
It's not just a violation to me, it's a violation to everyone. It's a violation to everyone that believes in their civil liberties.
Been getting death threats and has seen her house vandalized because of her support for Donald Trump.
I didn't do anything to anybody other than put a few Trump signs in my yard, which I'm entitled to do. Then I had this one motorcyclist, when I was out, he rides by and he says, "You're gonna die."
This is an attempt to shut down free speech. These presidential activities are part of our democratic process. The people who showed up in Chicago had every right under the Constitution to participate in this election process, and they were denied.
Who's at fault here? Who provoked the incident? The answer is obvious. Far-left agitators who do not believe in freedom of speech drove a situation that could have become violent. But the national media almost immediately spun the story, demonizing Donald Trump and his supporters, blaming the incident on inflammatory rhetoric and racist thought.
You have this entire movement of fascism which is saying, if you don't agree with me, I'm going to shut up your right to speak, I'm going to intimidate you, I'm going to bully you, and they're terrified of Trump because he seems to be strong enough and dynamic enough to take him head on.
Mr. Trump just arrived in Chicago and after meeting with law enforcement has determined that for the safety of all the tens of thousands of people that have gathered in and around the arena, tonight's rally will be postponed until another day. Thank you very much for your attendance and please go in peace.
We shall sit down. 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 We shall sit down.
Nobody delights in this. This is a very sad scene that we're seeing. This is supposed to be American democracy in action. Instead, what we're seeing is just total chaos.
These are rebellions, and they're brought on by riot starters who show up at these things to create chaos. This is a threat to ordered liberty in the United States of America. These are anarchists. They advocate violence and chaos in the name of virtue, so you can't amp it down. Look, the people who show up at the Trump rallies or anybody else's rally, they're not asking for trouble. They didn't start this stuff. They're not advocating for violence, and I'm not either. But I'm not going to back down, and I don't expect them to back down either. For people to blame this on Donald Trump is it's way out of bounds.
Why you gotta call everybody racist? You fucked your friend, man. You fucked your uncle. Oh yeah. Hey, that sounds classic. You intellectual piece of shit. You intellectual piece of shit. It's racist, right?
Look at some of the rhetoric and the language used by Mrs. Bill Clinton and Bernie Sanders at their rallies and at their debates, how they attack the police, they stoke up racial animosity. The President of the United States is the one that created this division.
The left is mad because he's standing up to them. That's what the problem is.
MoveOn.org is now openly soliciting donations to help create even more chaos at future political events of Donald Trump.
Everything is asked backwards in the country right now. Okay, we're looking at rioting and we're calling that protesting. The cops are the bad guys, the crooks are the victims now.
You're fucking a white male! You're a white man! Fucking old ass piece of shit! You're fucking old! Old! White baby boomer! Fucking hey!
I'm telling you, people are just tired of it. White people are being pushed around, kicked to the curb, having their rights denied, being called a racist, being walked on. You're closing down their jobs. You're telling them what they can and cannot do. You're telling lies. And you're demoralizing our nation. You're destroying everything that has made this nation great. White folk getting ready to rise up. They don't want to take it no more. And I'm joining. I mean, who can blame them? To build this nation and then have it given away. It's given away.
They've sent us a message that they can take whatever they want. But we will send them a message that this is our land!
Don't back down to these bullies and these goons. Have your voice heard as well. The numbers are on your side.
I've never said I'm a perfect person, nor pretended to be someone that I'm not. I've said and done things I regret, and the words released today on this more than a decade-old video are one of them. Anyone who knows me knows these words don't reflect who I am. I said it, I was wrong, and I apologize. I've traveled the country talking about change for America, but my travels have also changed me. I've spent time with grieving mothers who've lost their children, laid off workers whose jobs have gone to other countries, and people from all walks of life who just want a better future. I have gotten to know the great people of our country, and I've been humbled by the faith they've placed in me. I pledge to be a better man tomorrow and will never, ever let you down. Let's be honest. We're living in the real world. This is nothing more than a distraction from the important issues we're facing today. We are losing our jobs. We're less safe than we were 8 years ago, and Washington is totally broken. Hillary Clinton and her kind have run our country into the ground. I've said some foolish things, but there's a big difference between the words and actions of other people. Bill Clinton has actually abused women, and Hillary has bullied, attacked, shamed, and intimidated his victims. We will discuss this more in the coming days. See you at the debate on Sunday.
It is for us, the living.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand, therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints.
This baby boy who's come to earth to bring us joy, and I just wanna sing this song to you. It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major depth. With every breath I'm singing hallelujah, hallelujah. A star shone bright up in the east. To Bethlehem the wise one free came many miles and journey long for you. I know it's a place where waits for you. Their frankincense and golden myrrh they gave and cried out, oh hallelujah, 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 I know you came to rescue me, this baby boy who would grow to be a man you want
right, Nathan, my brother, you know Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior? I do. All right, grab it. Let's go. I baptize you, Nathan, in the name of the Father, and Son, and the Holy Spirit. There in baptism, raise and walk in his life, brother. Chrissy, you coming? Come on, young lady. This is exciting. All right, girl.
Let's fire it up!
What?
Probably all of these demonstrations, protests. We had an unusual one today on both coasts involving high school kids, largely, who were let out of school, most of them way too young, certainly not of age 18, all to protest what would be a move on Mr. Trump to go after these so-called sanctuary cities or protection zones that would allow illegals to stay in this country. And these kids were arguing on behalf of those illegals to stay here, that it's their right. Well, of course, that is not the case, but it just shows that part of what the president was saying is respect the election, respect what...
Orange County tonight, a political firestorm over Donald Trump's election.
A college professor went off on Trump during class. It was posted online, and now there are threats of legal action and even expulsion. CBS 2 Orange County reporter Stacey Butler is live in Costa Mesa for us tonight with more. Stacey.
Pat and Jeff, she called the Trump election an act of terrorism. Well, the young Republicans here at Orange Coast College posted it online. Now, union reps and lawyers are battling it out.
Our nation is divided. We have been assaulted. It's an act of terrorism. One of the most frightening things for me and most people in my life is that the people committing the assault are among us.
That's Orange Coast College professor Olga Perez-Stable-Cox lashing out at Donald Trump in her human sexuality class. One student was so offended by the political speech he recorded it with his cell phone.
white supremacist and a vice president that is one of the most anti-gay humans in this country.
At this point, it's not even education anymore, it's indoctrination.
Josh Recalde Martinez is a member of the Young Republicans Club at the school, which has filed a formal complaint. Another student complained on the website ratemyteacher.com. I felt censored and bullied if I did not agree with her opinions. Political opinions she shared in depth with the class.
We are way beyond Republicans and Democrats, and we're really back to being a civil war. And I don't mean it in a fighting way, but our nation is divided as clearly as it was in Civil War times.
Recalde Martinez posted the video on his Facebook page. He now has 18,000 views and hundreds of comments. Tonight, the Professors Union posted a warning on his page. It condemned the student who recorded the video, saying, "This is an illegal recording without the permission of the instructor. The student will be identified and may be facing legal action."
But they wanted it to be known so that way maybe we would get scared and take down the video. But to the union, I want to say we're not going to be doing that.
The unions are acting like thugs, like bullies themselves.
Attorney Sean Steele, who is also the Republican National Committee man from California, volunteered to represent the Young Republicans. He says the student who shot the video is afraid he could be suspended or expelled with just 1 week left in the semester.
Every student knows that if you stand up to your professor, 90% of the time the professor is going to punish you.
Now, I spoke with the president of the college here earlier today. He couldn't go on camera, he says, because this is still under investigation. But he did tell me that the college encourages discourse about current events with students and faculty when they're in context. I also called the teacher as well as her union representative. I didn't hear back from either one. Back to you guys.
But I am sure disgusted with the fact that you just have no respect for anybody, including yourself. And wearing this doesn't make you wonderful. Well, let's not go there, but you know what? It says be obedient, doesn't it? And you are not being obedient.
Wait, you say trust is...
You are not being obedient. That's all I'm saying.
That's a little crossing. We wish it's does trust.
You are not being obedient by not listening to the teacher. I don't care who it is up here.
Hey, ma'am, that's kind of disrespectful to touch his cross like that. No, you can't.
Yeah, tell me that I'm not being a good Christian.
I didn't say that. I said you
are
not
but you
being
implied
obedient.
it, and that's not okay. It's never okay to tell someone that they're being a good Christian.
I didn't say that.
Only God can say you're not being obedient.
Donald Trump. And yeah, there may be some of your parents who support him. I would really worry. But yeah, to the extent that what he says could end up resulting in abuse of students in my school, I'm going to say something about it. Yes. Yeah, there's plenty of these other candidates I don't like either, but I'm not talking about them. But what he says could end up resulting in violence, could end up resulting in bullying. Yeah, I'm going to say something about that. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't hear what he said yesterday, he said he thinks that we should completely shut the country down for anybody who's ever had any association with Islam, of any sort. I mean, somebody like me, who's been a U.S. citizen for longer than you guys have been alive, if I go to Iran next summer, like I did last summer, and I want to come back, if he had it Mr. Trump's way, I couldn't get back in the country. Now, what exactly has been my crimes? Oh yeah, I was born a Muslim. You want somebody like this for president? Yes.
Trump won't be in office next summer if he gets elected.
He's not going to get elected president. You know, I'm not worried about him getting
Inauguration's in
17. What I'm worried about, and this is exactly what I said to Mr. Little, and he completely agrees. What I'm worried about is the worst of the racist, bigot scum in this country who were living under a rock until Donald Trump came around. Now they have a voice. Now they're coming. Did you see yesterday when he was saying this stuff? They're all cheering. Yeah, let's keep the Muslims out. Some of them are saying, I'm going to go to France and kill all the Muslims. And how is that behavior any different than ISIS? How is this type of suggested behavior any different? Yeah, maybe they don't have the guts to actually do it. But anybody who talks in those kind of foul terms to go and just round up innocent people only because of an association, I'm an agnostic. There's no love in my heart for religion of any kind. But I was born a Muslim. So what? They should keep. I haven't committed a crime in my life. I should be kept from entering this country. Is there anybody here who thinks that should happen? And not just me.
A student at Stafford Elementary is recovering tonight after being beaten by several of his classmates.
He says it was during a mock election when the class was asked who voted for Donald Trump. Fox 26's Scarlett Fakar spoke with that child and his family. She joins us now from the newsroom. Scarlett.
Jonathan and Melinda, it's a Fox 26 exclusive interview with the 11-year-old boy involved and his family. They tell us they're afraid to let him go back to school.
This is America. Everybody has the right to their own opinion, and they shouldn't be beat up for it.
But just a day after Donald Trump was elected president, that's exactly what happened to an 11-year-old boy at Stafford Elementary School.
These boys decided to ask the classroom who voted for Donald Trump because a few weeks ago they made a mock election for the president. And then I said I voted for I did, and then they come over here and started and jerked me out of my seat, and then they started before I could get up, they started kicking me and punching me.
He tells us the classroom did have a teacher present, but it felt like he was on the ground forever.
Why did it take so long for it to be stopped?
Mary and Buddy Lemon say they received a call from the principal immediately after the incident.
We went and made statements to the police officers, and then I took him to the emergency rooms.
Lemon says her son has deep bruises throughout his body. Are you afraid to go back to class?
Yes, ma'am.
After speaking with Stafford MSD, they tell us in a statement the students allegedly involved in the altercation have been suspended pending an investigation.
I know we've been very opinionated on this election, but one thing I've never said anything to the point where I would incite violence. My son doesn't have a mean bone in his body.
They say they hope their story encourages parents to speak to their children on how to be compassionate and accepting towards those that believe differently.
That's what America's about. That's what the election process is about. We had to respect the last election results, and I feel like everybody needs to respect this election's results.
For the full statement from Stafford MSD, you can go to fox26houston.com. We'll keep you updated on the pending investigation on the students who were involved. In the newsroom, Scarlett Fakar, Fox 26 News.
You can write about this to whoever you want.
I'm not writing about this for anything. I'm just correcting you.
Academic freedom. Apparently, you have the kind of medieval mindset that you don't even understand what that entails. Yeah.
I don't think criticizing a mainstream political candidate is academic freedom.
When we can call and just get this guy out of here, or I'm not gonna be able to. This is nonsense.
Yeah, that's not.
You can write to the dean. You can write whoever you want. Okay.
I'm not writing to anybody. This is ridiculous.
Or I'm giving you the option. If you want to stay in this class, and this is not going to play against you, just stay here and follow the rules. Don't make up things, okay? And don't claim that I don't have the right to criticize Donald Trump, because I can criticize any human being in this class.
You said the only people that don't understand this are the people like Donald Trump.
Yes, he did, and he has every right to say that.
That
doesn't imply that he's stupid. That implies that he's not listening to the data that's on the screen, that he doesn't understand that data. That does not imply that he's stupid. That does not imply he's unintelligent. He even said privately he may support this and understand. He said publicly he's not supporting this.
No, okay, that's it.
He did not question his intelligence at all.
No, he just said the only people that can't understand a basic graph are people like Donald Trump.
This guy apparently came here to make up a scene. I mean, he either has to stop and apologize, or he has to leave. That's it.
I'll apologize if you apologize for criticizing Donald Trump supporters.
I have no time to wait for these things.
I'll apologize if you apologize for criticizing Donald Trump supporters.
Oh my God.
The other thing too is that Donald Trump supporters are completely worthy of criticism. So
in a classroom that people pay
anywhere,
especially in the classroom.
really, especially in the classroom.
You understand that? Because you're paying $1,000 in tuition, that doesn't make you a boss.
I'm not saying I'm a boss. I just thought that was insulting.
Precisely those things.
I'm just saying I thought that was insulting.
You have to get out of here right now, because I'm not going to teach this course with you here. Okay?
Well, I guess you're not teaching the course then, because I paid money to be here, so.
The only person who used the word stupid is him. He said that I was stupid for sharing the data and not understanding it, that he was more qualified. That alone is enough for me to get rid of you. Because there's a thing
You just
called
said you're not
academic
qualified to
integrity,
teach that.
There's a thing called academic integrity.
What does academic integrity have to do with this?
I'm the teacher.
Yeah, you are the teacher, so you should be professional enough not to insult a whole group of people. It's not about not liking you.
Outraged parents say at first they didn't believe a teacher would mistreat a student. Their son is a special needs child, and they say what he needs is help and encouragement, not what you're about to see.
Don't call me special.
What? Oh my God, Clark. Dude, what are you here for? What does the title on the front of that school say? Patriot! Special education.
Don't call me special.
What would you like me to call you, Jules?
Normal? Just don't call me special.
In Sewell, New Jersey, a Bank Bridge Regional High School special needs teacher caught on camera by one of his students.
Nobody gives a
15-year-old Julio Artuz says nearly every day his teacher bullied him right in front of his classmates.
It's horrible.
But he says no one believed him, not even his family. So he captured the teacher on his cell phone to show his parents.
Don't call me special.
All right, what's going to happen?
I'm just telling you, don't call me special.
I'll say whatever I want to say. You don't like it? Oh, well.
I was appalled by what was going on. I don't appreciate my son being called out of school.
When I get out of this school, you ain't going to call me special now.
What are you going to do, dude? You know what, Jules? I will kick your ass and get you to come until I'm 80 years old.
Don't threaten.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Going to get a job or a jockey? Like I'm scared. You said when you get out of school, you're going to do something. What are you going to do?
I didn't.
What are you going to do? Get in my face. You didn't say that. You didn't say when you get out of school, you're going to do something?
I didn't know. I said when I get out of this school, what you going to say then?
What?
When I get out of this school.
When you get out of this school, I'll be right there. You tell me where you are, and I'll call you anytime.
I said when I get out of this school, back to district.
There ain't going to be a stinking
when
thing
I get back to this
there ain't going to be nothing you're going to do. There ain't going to be nothing you're going to ever do.
How does it make you feel, though, inside? I mean, do you feel bad about yourself, or?
It makes me feel like I'm trash.
You ain't going to do a thing.
So we showed the video to attorney David Arnold, who specializes in representing special needs students.
Well, that's truly disappointing.
Arnold says the teacher is sending the wrong message to his students.
The only thing that this child is learning at this point is that, you know, violent behavior is the answer.
I went to the teacher's home for comment. I saw a man walk past the door and heard him talking as though he was on the phone, but no one answered the door.
Perry Hairston over at Channel 10. Could you give us a call, please?
And no one returned my calls to the home. School officials wouldn't go on camera, but the school did issue this statement. In part, it reads, quote, "This incident is under investigation. The school district takes all bullying allegations seriously." It goes on to read, "The teacher is on paid administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation."
Who cares? Are you special?
No.
Nobody, dude.
Julio's father says he did meet with the teacher at school.
He was trying to tell me that this was a way of him motivating his students.
You need to take a little responsibility for yourself, Julio, and start trying to learn yourself, instead of me constantly telling you the answers.
But Julio's father says moments later, the teacher gave him a different excuse.
Basically, he just said that he was sorry, that he didn't really mean what he said, that he was having a hard time at home with his wife.
But Julio's father says there is no excuse for this.
What would you like me to call you, Jules?
Normal? Just don't call me special.
School officials say the teacher remains on administrative leave pending Board of Education action this coming Wednesday. Of course, the NBC 10 investigators will stay on top of the story and bring you the latest. For the investigators, Harry Hairston, NBC 10 News.
This is cell phone video shot by students during a class at Kopachuk Middle School last February. We got a copy from an attorney but agreed not to show the kids' faces. She is representing the 13-year-old boy on the floor covered up by chairs.
It was a teacher-led bullying incident of epic proportions.
Joan Mell not revealing the boy's name or the name of his family, But she says they're all traumatized by what happened under the classroom supervision of teacher John Rossi.
The teacher poked him in the belly. The teacher turned around and put his bottom up in his face and said he felt gassy.
Hey, and by the way, I'm feeling kind of gassy.
He had a pillow placed on his face where he couldn't breathe for several seconds. He had his own socks shoved into his mouth.
The Peninsula School District says it got a look at those videos right after the incident.
I was horrified by what I saw.
And acted quickly.
We immediately placed the teacher on leave.
After an internal investigation, Rossi was suspended for 10 days, reassigned as a substitute teacher for the rest of the school year, given new classroom management training, and assigned to a different middle school this fall.
We took what we think is pretty significant disciplinary action against the teacher.
We were not able to contact the teacher by phone, but in a letter written to the district, John Rossi apologized after the incident, explaining he didn't view the incident as, quote, anything more than harmless childhood horseplay. But the boy's attorney says the teen hasn't been able to return to class after the incident, has switched schools, and required psychiatric therapy.
It wasn't horseplay because there was no play going on.
This incident happened earlier this year, and it's still an open investigation. Pierce County Sheriff's Department said they interviewed the victim. They're still waiting to get information from the school's investigation, though, Randy. So there's a lot of questions here as to why this wasn't immediately reported to the sheriff's office by the school. The superintendent, though, did say that Rosie was interviewed immediately after the incident. Disciplinary action was taken. A third party was brought in to investigate. He was brought back into the school system and put on as a roving substitute teacher, and that's how he finished out the school year. He's back on administrative leave now.
Is he? So he's still under investigation, right?
It's still an open investigation.
Okay.
Transmission begins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the Josh Tolley Show on the GCN Radio Network.
So the teachers in San Francisco, there's a little bit of a situation here. San Francisco Teachers Union provides anti-Trump curriculum. And what is this anti-Trump curriculum? Well, you don't tell them that we lost. Yeah, their plan is to lie to the kids. The United Educators of San Francisco, the union that represents the teachers in the public schools, released a controversial guide Wednesday on teaching public school children about Donald Trump's victory over Hillary Clinton in the recent election. The guide, called the Lesson Plan on the November 2016 election, that's a great original name, informs teachers that a racist and sexist man has now become the president of our country by pandering to a huge racist and sexist base. What? Think about that. The plan is to tell children that a racist, sexist, which of course would have been Hillary Clinton, if we're just being honest, but saying a racist, sexist man has become president of our country by pandering to a huge racist and sexist base, because if you're not a racist, they think you would have voted for Hillary. If you're not a sexist, you would have voted for Hillary. Even though Hillary was the one that got that elusive KKK endorsement. It's interesting how, people are like, oh, David Duke endorsed Donald Trump. David Duke endorsed Donald Trump. And he's an ex-KKK guy. Meanwhile, the Grand Dragon actually endorsed Hillary. And Hillary, of course, has been friends and endorsed KKK members. So, whatever. Anyway, the article continues. In fact, the lesson plan urges teachers not to tell their students that Hillary Clinton lost the election. Quote, do not, in big capital letters, tell them that we lost and that we have to accept this. We do not have to accept anything except that we must and will fight for justice against this unjust system and against these unjust people. Yeah. So that's the San Francisco Teachers Union's plan on how to deal with Trump. The guide also recommends that teachers allow students to use profanity when expressing their feelings about this election. You would too if you had to suffer under the constructs of white supremacy and experience sexism and any ism or lack of privilege, says the Teachers Union. Wow, these people are nuts. The Associated Press reports that the union posted the plan on its website and distributed via email newsletter to more than 6,000 of its members. The school district has more than 57,000 young students that they're influencing on a daily basis. The school district refused to condemn the plan. Wait, no. Let's say that again. The school district refused to condemn the plan. So we can't even say, well, Josh, okay, yeah, it's just those crazy nuts in the teachers union. Those people are always coming up with terrible things to corrupt our youth and to destroy America. But it's just the union. It's not like the people who actually run the show are going to let them do it. Nope, school district will let them do it. If you have a child in the San Francisco school system, get them out. Get them out. These teachers are promoting hate. These teachers are promoting bigotry. These teachers are promoting sexism. These teachers are promoting racism. I know they don't think so, but they don't think, evidently. 57,000 students, Monday through Friday, under the tutelage of these idiots. If you have, I'm not even joking, if you have a kid in the public school system in San Francisco, get them out. Why would you put your child through this torture, through this corruption, through this pain, through this manipulation, through this mental molestation? Why would you do that? If the teachers of San Francisco intend to mentally molest your kid, why would you leave your kid in that school system? Get them out. And pay attention to your school system too. Don't just think, well, I live in rural Nebraska. This stuff doesn't happen here. Well, the teachers union, the largest union for teachers, the nationwide deal, happens everywhere. I don't care if your county voted red. You have to be diligent. You have to look into what these people are doing with your kids. Stop treating school like a babysitter. Stop treating school like a babysitter. Parent up and do your job. Raise your children in the way that they should go so they're not left to the hands of these immoral people. And I have had teachers tell me directly, Josh, well, teachers are trained on how to educate children. Parents are not. So in reality, we should have more authority over the child than the parent. And I had a teacher tell me that in a very Republican county. So don't think it's just, well, these nut jobs in San Francisco who are all crazy anyway. No. And this is a mindset that is spreading. It's spreading fast, and it's being promoted to spread, and there's tons of money behind it from terrible unions that are terrible to their members. There are a lot of terrible unions. Don't let this idea that, well, there's a union involved, so somehow it's holy or solidarity, brother. No, a lot of these unions have been compromised. They've been infiltrated. This is an attempt to mentally molest your kid. And if the parents of San Francisco stand by for this, shame on all of you. You are all just as guilty. If there is not a call right now for parents in San Francisco to go to these school teachers, to go to these union meetings, to go to the school board meetings and protest and demand these people are removed from office. Removed from office. Because think about this, folks. They're promoting straight up lying to your kids. Why would it be, well, maybe we should just correct their behavior and let them continue to teach, just tell them that they shouldn't teach this. The fact that it was in their mind to lie, the fact that it was in their mind to lie about the sexism, the racism, and the win, that's enough to say, you know what, you should not be allowed to be around children. There should be a 500 feet restriction between you and any child. Because you're crazy and you intend to do the child harm. That is harm. That is absolutely harm. It might not be physical harm, but it's harm nonetheless, and they intend to do it. So you have no business being around any child ever. And of course they're gonna wilt and weep. Oh, we just love the children. We just love the kids. That's why we're doing it. We hate to see that they're gonna live in a world where somebody like Donald Trump is gonna win, and all of his supporters are racist, sexist too. We need to help the children. Folks, this is why we have to stop being an emotional driven country. We have to be a logical driven country that then knows where to pour its emotion. And if we don't figure that out real fast, and I mean real fast, this country is going to die, regardless of who's in the White House. Regardless. So make sure you do the right thing today. Get your kids out of public schools. Get them back where they're supposed to be, becoming educated, social children. We've covered that on a...
So here is a story in the New York Times. On campus, Trump fans say they need safe spaces. In fact, Amanda D. I'm not going to use her last name, even though the Times has, because I'm so worried about her facing possible criticism.
Oh.
A sophomore at the University of Michigan and political director of the College of Republicans was ecstatic when her candidate, Donald J. Trump, won the presidential election. But her mood of celebration quickly faded when students held an evening vigil on campus to mourn the results. And her biology teacher suspended class on the assumption, Miss D said, that students would be too upset to focus. Let's talk about that for a moment. This poor, poor child having to deal with the fact that other people didn't want the same outcome from the election as her. Here I was ready to have a party, and I looked around and realized I have no friends because other people didn't want this outcome. That's wrong. That's wrong, and
Not
we need
safe.
a strong leader who will force these people to celebrate, not mourn. She was outraged. Nobody has died, Ms. D said. The United States has not died.
Not yet. I mean, it's a process.
The United States has not died.
Not yet. I mean, it's a process.
The United States has not died.
Not yet. I mean, it's a process.
Or die by suicide.
The United States has not died.
Not yet. I mean, it's a process.
Or die by suicide.
The United States has not died.
Not yet. I mean, it's a process.
Or die by suicide. Or die by suicide.
The United States has not died.
Not yet. I mean, it's a process.
It cannot come from abroad. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time. Or die by suicide. Let reverence for the law be breathed by every American mother to the lisping babe that prattles on her lap. Let it be taught in the schools in the seminaries and in the colleges. Let it be written in primers, in spelling books and almanacs. And in short, let it become the political religion of the nation.
Democracy is more alive than ever.
Well,
simply put, the American people voted and Trump won. Well, that's almost too simply put, because the American public voted, and because of the electoral process that we have in this country, when the electors meet on December 19th, Trump will win.
You know, I love the poorly educated, but I'm also starting to appreciate some college students as well. She seems pretty fucking dumb, too.
She circulated an online petition and accused the university president of catering to the liberal majority by suggesting that, quote, their ideology was superior to the ideology of their peers, as she put it. When he sent out an email publicizing the vigil and listing counseling resources for students upset by the election. 3 days later, she was invited to meet the president in his office. What? I was completely shocked that he even read the letter. That was definitely a new thing. It was very exciting. Conservative students who voted for Trump say that even though their candidate won, their views are not respected. Some are adopting the language of the left, saying they need safe spaces to express their opinions.
I feel that Mexicans are not human, and I would like to not be demonized for expressing that in a collegial environment.
Maybe it turns out that safe spaces is not just about the left, it's about children.
Maybe people who built internet careers on irrelevant arguments that mean absolutely nothing at best and are mind-blowingly stupid at worst should consider this.
Or maybe all those people who are afraid of spaces ruining our country were right, and it's contagious. Even jumping across ideological lines. But this is the best part. According to the University of Michigan president, Mark Schlissel, who was clearly moved by meeting with this poor sophomore who had expected everybody to be cheering and was horribly upset.
Yeah, my relatives are going to get deported. I'm going to have my constitutional protection stripped because of my faith. Yes!
That some people were upset about the outcome of the election. He wrote in a campus-wide message that bias incidences have been reported. A student walking near campus was threatened with being lit on fire because she wore a hijab. Other students were accused of being racist for supporting Mr. Trump.
Wow. Can you read that again?
Let's see. On one hand, there are bias incidents that have been reported. On one hand, a student was threatened with being lit on fire.
It's an incident of bias.
Yes, because she wore a hijab. But on the other hand, some students were accused of being racist for supporting Donald Trump.
And in addition to that, some students didn't feel the safety to threaten Muslim students with being lit on fire because they support Donald Trump.
Why isn't everybody getting together to have a vigil to ban Muslims? I feel like I
feel left out of the conversation.
The only thing that really happened to that girl is that she didn't have to go to class the next day, and so she's the most annoying. The thing that really happened to that girl is that she didn't have to go to class the next day, and so she's the most annoying. the most annoying. She's the most annoying.
Ladies and gentlemen, would everyone please direct your attention to the 50-yard line. Tonight we honor young men and women from the Bay Area as they take their oath of enlistment prior to departing for basic training with the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force. Captain Tony Laird, United States Navy, Department Head for the Cal Berkeley Military Affairs Department, representing Cal ROTC, will give the oath. The mustering adjutant is Ensign Jia Zhang, a 2008 Cal graduate. This ceremony dates back to the Revolutionary War, where all military personnel, regardless of rank, were required to swear allegiance to America and to defend its soil. These men and women are now taking the oath to enlist in the military and join the long line of Americans who have fought to defend their country. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the oath ceremony.
Very well, post. Ladies and gentlemen, as we recite the oath of enlistment into the armed forces of the United States tonight, I ask that you pay particular attention to the words that we say. We take these words very seriously as they form the foundation upon which we base our service to our country. Thank you. Enlistees, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey all the orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and a uniform code of military justice. So help me God. Congratulations. Please, round of applause to our nation's newest sailors, Marines, airmen, and soldiers. Thank you very much, and thank you all for your support to the United States military. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. He's going to take it out from you right now. Nice job.
Everyone's least favorite part of school is the dreaded exam. But if you fear flunking, sometimes creative measures must be taken. Here are some shocking things students did to pass exams. Bad hygiene. In South Korea, students have been known to not shower come exam time. This is due to a superstition that says if you wash your hair before an exam, you wash all of the knowledge out. This may seem rather gross and trivial, but it is a common practice for South Korean students, and no one's going to be getting close enough to cheat, that's for sure. Calculator hacking. Usually before a math test that requires a calculator, instructors will go around the room, test out the devices, and clear any stored data so that students can't look in past archives to find the answers. However, in this day and age, with the ability to hack technology, students have been figuring out ways to hack into graphing calculators, like a TI-83, and upload programs that will restore deleted data or even upload additional notes to help them pass a test. Body doubles. In 2011, an elaborate cheating scandal was discovered in Long Island, New York, where college students were discovered taking the SATs for younger students. 1 adult and 6 minors were arrested in the cheating. The adult that was arrested was accepting payments of up to $2,500 to take the SAT. He started this in 2009 and used fake IDs to get into the exam venues. He ended up facing felony charges, and testing facilities tightened up their security. UV pens. According to an article in the Daily Mail, numerous students have been purchasing UV pens, which are only a few dollars, and using them to write answers on their arms, pants, and water bottles. In regular light, the notes will be invisible. All students need to do come exam time is shine the UV light to the area they wrote on, and their notes will appear. Think of it like writing with invisible ink, and praying that the teacher doesn't notice they really do. Rolling in the carpet. When an anonymous college student from St. Louis, Missouri was struggling with her college course, she figured out a way to get a passing grade. She asked her 49-year-old professor for help and offered to come to his home. Needless to say, the young college student and the professor ended up rolling around on his carpet, and the student's grades magically improved. Their affair continued, but unfortunately for the student, old professor made her continue to work, or he didn't give her a passing final grade. Tampons and pencils. Come exam time, there are many things that aren't allowed in the examination room, like cell phones and other electronics. Several women have come forward to various publications and confessed that they have written notes and test answers on tampons, one of the few items allowed to be on hand with a student in the test room. Other variations of this is slicing a pencil in half, writing the answers on mailing labels, and sticking them inside the pencil, then flipping them open when the teacher isn't looking. Super Pass. In Hong Kong, China, there is a series of activities called Game Flow, or Super Pass, that students may participate in every month for exam time. It starts at a Chinese restaurant where students will eat a dish consisting of pork cubes and cashews. Cashews are especially important because it sounds like a dish to pass in Chinese. Then each student will have a turn to try and slice a roast pig in half. If the student is successful in slicing the sacrificial offering, it's believed they will pass. Finally, the students will eat kiwis because the Chinese name for it sounds like it's easy to pass exams. Smart cameras. This story sounds like it's straight from a spy movie. Students in Thailand were caught taking photos of exam questions with smart cameras in their eyeglasses. The photos would then be sent to an unknown person who would then research the answer and send it back to the student's smartwatch. Other students around the world have tried the same technique, but some were caught because they forgot to silence their watches when the exam started. Cheating for a visa. In 2015, the United States Department of Justice intervened after 15 Chinese individuals took exams such as the SATs and the test of English as a foreign language while posing as other Chinese individuals still in China. Each student was paid up to $6,000 and sent false passports with the names of the other students in China and inserted their photos. The reason behind this was that the students still in China wanted to study and go to college in the United States so they could get a visa. The scheme took place between 2011 and 2015. The situation went from an academic issue to an immigration issue really quickly. Boycott. Peter Frolick was a professor at Johns Hopkins University, and he was well known for grading on a curve. Whatever student got the highest score, their score would be considered an A, and so on and so forth. At the end of the fall term, students in Frolick's classes collectively decided to boycott the final so that the highest score would be 0. The boycott worked, and all of the students passed their final with an A. Frolick altered his grading policy after the incident. Have you ever done anything a little crazy to pass an exam? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to study hard and earn those grades. Thank you for tuning in to The Richest, and don't forget to come see us again for more awesome videos daily. Thanks for watching.
Risk
recently, there was a bit of a fiasco at the University of Toronto when a group of radical feminists pulled a fire alarm in order to stop a men's rights seminar in progress at the university. You can see a large group of protesters yelling in the hallway just outside the MRA group's meeting, while campus security muddles around like a lost child, powerless to get them to stop disrupting. The fire alarm then goes off and the feminists cheer like banshees, ecstatic that they've used bully tactics to silence the opposing point of view. The confrontation continued outside as the fire trucks showed up full of firefighters whose time has been wasted by these mindless, cackling cunts. Now, I should warn you guys that the person I'm about to show you is the least likable person ever. Like, you will become nauseous. If you've eaten recently, I guarantee you that you need to go to the other... Pause the video. Pause it. Go to the other room, get a bucket, get a container, set it on your lap, because there's a good chance you will vomit. Roll the clip.
If you shut the fuck up and let me read my list, there's the fucking proof.
And so I obviously can't like...
So, number one, shut the fuck up for a second. Feminists do not want you to lose custody of your children. The assumption that women are naturally better caregivers is part of patriarchy.
Oh, I like her. Isn't she pleasant? She seems like the kind of girl that, you know, she'd go to a restaurant and order her sandwich with extra mustard, and then they'd bring it to her and she'd take a bite.
Thanks for riding. Please push your safety bars up. Back. Safety bars are coming down. want to go faster. Let me hear you scream if you want to go faster. Buy your tokens at the cash box if you would like to run. Let me hear you.
You want to die? No, God is telling us not to go
别往了，退了吧，退了吧，退了吧，退了吧，退了吧，退了吧。那是我给你的 money back。啊，这他们太恐怖了。
网络上来肯定是骂的。对
啊，这 terrible。
这太恐怖了。
I know, Daddy's coming now.